Welcome, everyone, to ITD Snack Time. Tonight, we're going to talk about why is Elden Ring so damn popular. This is probably a topic that's more akin to our resident masochist, Nick Irwin, on why Elden Ring is so popular. From my experience, it's supposed to be a very much Souls-like game, but it's not got that level of difficulty, in my opinion. So, to me, that's why it's probably a little bit more popular, but I'll kind of get into mine a little bit more because I want to find out from our resident expert why he thinks this game is more popular, because he's probably got the most experience with these type of games and this game out of the three of us. So, Nick, why do you think Elden Ring is so damn popular right now?
Because it's a good game.
Why is it a good game?
I think one of the things that really, before Elden Ring came out, that really brought on the general gaming public into wanting to play Elden Ring and experiencing it is really going back to two games, I think specifically, and that's Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne. Those two games specifically, when you hear of games of From Software titles, those are the two biggest ones, right? And I think those two brought in that, because it seemed like to me, in my understanding, is like Demon Souls and then Dark Souls 1 and 2 were kind of a cult following and had a group of gamers that really enjoyed them, right? And then I feel like Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne really brought in more gamers. They were more they're still difficult games, but they are a little bit more on the easier side, to the point where even a general gamer can get in and enjoy it and still get through various areas. Not that they won't die and not that they won't have frustrating times, but they can still progress through theirs. Whereas Dark Souls 1 specifically is a very hard game, right? I've completed all of them, and Dark Souls 1 by all means is definitely the hardest one of them all, and very unforgiving. And Dark Souls 2 is not that. I didn't think it was that difficult. I think it's probably one of the easier of the three, but being that Dark Souls 1 was so difficult, Dark Souls 2 I don't think got a lot of fanfare, and plus it was a different team from software team that did that one, so it's a little bit different than Dark Souls 1. And then you had 3 that came on, and I think Bloodborne came out before then, I want to say. So Bloodborne came out, right, and that became very popular. That game is still talked about today, and it's a very popular From Software game. That one is a hard game. Bloodborne is hard, but it was kind of in line with that, being able to gather that general audience. And then I think Dark Souls 3 also progressed that idea, right? That's what also made people want to go out and buy Sekiro when it came out, right? Once that started coming up, people were like, oh, another From Software game, like another one like Bloodborne or like Dark Souls. I'm going to go get that one. And they got that one, and that was a hard game, but it also kind of accessible as well. And then you have Elden Ring that came out. So now all this, I think all that popularity from those games just kind of steamrolled into, we're excited for this one, right? But I also think what makes this a good, or such a popular game, is that open world aspect of it, right? It is Dark Souls-y in a way, but it also brings in a lot of open world items, which, you have those people that are big into that open world, crafting things and being able to mount and travel long distances and collect things, things for crafting and various things like that, and exploration. And that brings it all. So if you were a fan of those games, you're going to come along for the ride. But I think the general audience as well, seeing that From Software is making another game, and that kind of noticing that's going to be more of an open world type of thing, I think that also brought a lot of people into it. So I think that's what brought so many people in, and that's why it's become so popular. And it's so popular also because, besides being that fact, it's also a really good game. What I think makes it really good, again, is that it has the combat and stuff of Dark Souls, which is that which is really good. And they do bring on new stuff to it. But what's really good about that combat style is there's so much technical stuff behind it, right? There's so many. It's not just going in and swinging your sword, right? It's very a technical game of going in and knowing when to parry an attack or block an attack or dodge, and you have a very strategic fighting with your. So there's some depth to that, as well as the exploration, right? For me, unlike you think of games like Assassin's Creed or other open world games, right? The map just opens up and it says, here's all the points of interest. Now go do them. And to you and to some gamers, it may feel more like a kind of like a checklist. Like, okay, I have all these items listed. I'm just going to go check them off. Right. I went and did this. I went and did that. I went and did this. I checked all the boxes. But in Elden Ring, you don't have that. Right. They just open up the world and say, go explore it. Right. You don't know where anything is. And so you just go around and you find these ruins and you find this place and you go through it, and sometimes it's hard or difficulty, or it has a boss or some really cool item in it or whatever. And even the map doesn't really mark it, right? You have to they might put like a little symbol of a cave or something like that, or otherwise you can use the markers in the map system. So it's really that kind of almost, in a sense, that almost Dungeon and Dragon like exploration, right? Just the unknown, right? You don't know what's out there. You don't know what you're going to find around the corner. Whereas games, I feel like most of our open world games nowadays are not like that, right? I mean, yes, there's things to explore, but there's always something pointing you in a direction. Whereas Dark Souls has no direction. And Elden Ring, I guess, in this case, has no direction, right? You don't know where to go. You're like, all right, I'm just going to start going this way. And hopefully that's the way to go, right? The graces do kind of point you in the direction of the Elden Lords, right? But other than that, that's about the extent of any sort of hand holding that it gives you. It's like the Elden Lord's that way if you want to go kill it, by the way. It's in that direction. It's not, you don't know where it's at, but you know it's that way, right? That's the general idea. So I think that combined with just the scope of the game, the exploration, the combat as well. The combat's fun, and there's all sorts of things to find, and every game is not the same, right? I mean, there's several times where one of us has played and we've come to a location where we found a chest or found an item that the other one went through that location, or maybe they didn't find that location. You're like, where's that at? Or where'd you find that item at? There's so much to explore that it almost, in a sense, is almost like every game is different, right? And no matter who plays, when you start Elden Ring, not everybody's going to go straight, right? Some people are going to go left. Some people are going to go right. Some people are going to go backwards and experience the game in a whole different way than you did. And I think that's just what brings that audience in, because even playing it or even watching someone, if for those people that stream and stuff, streamers, even watching someone playing it could be a fun experience because you just don't know what they're going to run into or what they're going to see next. There's enemies that appear during the day and appear during nighttime, right? That are not there during the nighttime and various things like that. So if they're in a spot at night, there's a guy on horseback, right? It wasn't on your game because you were never there at nighttime, right? So it's just like all the craziness. I think that's what makes it so popular, personally. But I'll let you guys talk. Shane, what about you, man? What do you think?
You were so wrong on so many levels. I mean, just personally, you're just so wrong. The game is popular. On our review of it, I could definitely say the more we have played, I think it's changed my perspective about my review on it. I believe I said I would probably give it a 7 with the way this thing works. But I would probably give it an 8.5 now, because this game doesn't give you enough information. That's a downfall of, I believe, of this game. But as you play it, you learn things and you figure things out. It becomes better. It becomes more understandable, the way things work, items work, the characters work. If I'd have known that, a lot of this stuff at the beginning, I would have definitely changed my review on. And I think that's a downfall of the game, because I think the game does need to give you a little more direction, at least at the beginning, to truly enjoy it at the beginning. But the reason I think it's so enjoyed is because the collaboration of From Software, George R. Martin, because he's the writer for Game of Thrones, and I've never seen an episode, but he's extremely popular. I know the guy's name, and I've never even seen the show. I've never heard of the dude until the show came out and was real popular. So I think that's one reason it's so popular. I do agree that the difficulty ease is one part of it, but it's not that easy. It's just not. You have to take a masochist with you. I mean, that's why we run with Nick. He plays on a ball gag, for God's sakes. But the other part is the ability to play cooperative, the way it was understood before release, was going to be a lot easier and a lot better than it was in a Dark Souls series. And it is. It's a hell of a lot easier to get into a game. But I don't like the way the multiplayer doesn't save certain things. Yes, you could build your XP and things like that, but that part of the game, though, makes it so much better than Dark Souls. And people like a good cooperative game, especially in an open world like this, because the world is fantastic. I do love the world, because you can walk anywhere and find some of the most awesomely designed creatures, or just that'll just kick your ass. But it's that exploration and of the world, I think, is the biggest draw to me, especially when we run around, the three of us. Like Nick, I don't know how many hours you put into this thing, but when we hopped on, like last night, for example, oh, guess what I found? Guess what I did? Look where I went. And so what's he do? He grabs us by the hand, he leads us over there, because me and Pat are not Dark Soul players. We don't play in ball gags. I don't, but I don't know Pat. But it is Nick's passion for the game too really helps it out too, because when he tells you, "Oh man, you got to see this boss," or "Oh man, I found this cool item," he's right. When we finally get it there and we get it, it's really cool. So there's so many things to love about this game and complain about at the same time. But I think what has made this game so popular is George R. Martin being involved with the story, the open world design of this thing, and the ability to play co-op in a much easier way than you can on the previous Souls games and things like that. I think those are the three keys that have made this game so popular. And I think the advertisement really, really did a great job. Because, I'm not a Souls person, but I really wanted to play this game, and I was super excited for it because they did a great job marketing. What about you, Pat?
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement there. Because the game it pre-sold a lot of copies, and I'm like, Dark Souls didn't, Souls games didn't sell that as good as this one did, as far as I'm aware. And you were just heard about everybody talking about this game before it came out. I'm like, why is it so popular? What's going on with it? And George, and I don't know. I think George R. R. Martin probably did have something to do with it. People heard that he was helping to write the world that this is built around. And I'm like, that's kind of cool, and hopefully, I don't know. I don't know what all attributed to it, but I did see a lot of marketing material for this game well before it came out. And all I heard was Souls-like, and I'm like, I think I'm out, and then I was like, I know we're going to have to review this game because of Nick. If Nick wasn't in this group, we would have probably never even picked this game up. I'll be honest with you. We would have been like, nope.
Hard pass.
Yeah, I don't need a heart attack right now. I don't need to throw my controller or pull out my hair, And the game very much started out that way for me, because exactly like Nick says, it doesn't tell you what to do or where to go, and and I'm not used to some of the mechanics of the game, and so I get into the game and I'm like run into my first barrier, which is the troll right by the ruins, and I'm like, okay, So I'm not going that way because I can't take him out. He's already just kind of smashed me around a little bit. So I went the opposite direction. And, and Nick, being the person he is, he ran right through the guy. He's like, I can't fight him, but I'm going to run between his legs. And my ass was like, I can't run through him. He's going to kill me before I make it. Not Nick. He's like, I'm just going to run. And he makes it, and Shane and I are stuck on the other side of the gate, still exploring out there, which is massive. The map is huge. I think from what I understand, it dwarfs most of the other Souls games. And my experience with Souls before this game was logging in, playing, dying more times than I care to admit, and taking the game back to GameStop because I was well within my playtime and I can return it. So I am not that type of gamer, but this game is made fun by somewhat easing up on the limitations of co-op. They fully haven't really, really eased up on it, but it is a little bit better. I mean, Nick's getting to see everything in the game 3 times because of us. It's his own playthrough, then ours, then mine and Shane's, and vice versa. And, and not to mention, I'm pretty sure we found some stuff that he didn't find because he went and just ran face first into all the demigods and stuff. And we were like, oh, that's too hard. Let's go wander the world and find all these caves and nooks and crannies and stuff. And, and now that Nick's starting to run into where his face is getting smashed in, he's exploring more. And he's like, you guys got to go check out this over here and that over there. So we're running around with him, and stuff like that. So, and then you find out the hard way that if Nick can't beat it by himself, it doesn't matter. We come in with him. We're not helping him out either. So, but I do think that George R.R. Martin probably had something to do with some of the pre-sales. Cause I mean, most people know who he is. And, the game map is huge and massive. It's beautiful. I mean, it looks gorgeous. It's different zones and biomes and everything you go into. And if there's anything dark fantasy you like, it's in this game. I mean, there's freaking dragons. There's this, there's that. There's umpteen different types of enemy types and different types of scenarios. Like I've ran into enemies that are pushovers. And then I run into enemies that you're like, oh yeah, this guy's he's easy. And then he mops the floor with me. And I'm like, what happened? What happened? This little non-elite enemy just smeared me all over the floor, because I got a little cocky, So the game has a way of putting you're in your place sometimes you just get a little overzealous. I get used to sometimes playing the way the 3 of us do. When the 3 of us play together, we can just go, cheese some of the content. Like you can put a guy in a corner and just smack him around till he dies. But when you're by yourself, you don't swing fast enough to do that. And they just get that opening and just floor you. So I don't know. I think George R.R. Martin had something to do with it. And then, the marketing. And then now it's everywhere, all over the internet. All I see is videos on Elden Ring. Hey, make yourself look like a Sith Lord. Go find this weapon and this offhand, and you can fight with a dual-handed lightsaber looking weapon. Or how about you need massive XP quick? Go do these skets, these type of Cheez-Its in the game, but then there's also mysteries like, there's tower and you're like, how do I get into that? And, and you're looking around trying to find ways to get into places and things. And, I just find that I spend a lot more time traversing through like not the main demigods areas, but other places in the game going, what? This is so weird. What is that? And trying to make my way to something off in the distance than I do doing that. So the exploration factor is pretty popular in open world. Like I said, if it wasn't for Nick, we wouldn't have played this one, but right now I can't get enough of it. I keep wanting to go back in and play a little bit more and run around a little bit more. And it's just that type of stuff right there that I think is just keep driving it. Like I'm not a Souls fan. I would not go back and play any Dark Souls games even after playing this one, but the game has somehow hooked me, even though that I die so much. Like I almost gave up on Godric, and Nick's like, one more time. And I'm like, all right, we did it. We finally did it after one more time. I don't know how many one more times it was, but it was like one more time. I'm like, I'm going to get off and go to bed. He's like, no. Almost got him one more time. And I'm like, all right, we'll get in there. And I beat him. And it's that sense of accomplishment. And you're like, all right, I'm ready to go to the next part, But I think they need to fix the limitations of multiplayer. That would make the game, in my opinion, that would raise my level of love for this game if I could play true multiplayer. Like the 3 of us are exploring and I'm opening up stuff and defeating bosses along with them rather than having to go back and rinse and repeat on my side. It would we would probably be done with some stuff a lot quicker, which would be less playtime, but So as somebody who doesn't like the games, those are the things that I find interesting, the exploration and finding cool new things and not having to worry about some of that stuff. But I agree with Shane that not given any direction hurts it sometimes, because I'm like, what the hell? I don't know what to do. And that's exactly what I ran into. I'm like, I dumb lucked into a lot of stuff sometimes. And then sometimes not so dumb luck, walk into an area and I'm like, I think I can do this area, only to die within like less than a minute. And you're like, I'm not going back that way. Guess I lost all those runes, you know? So,
I like for me personally, I like and this is definitely reminiscent of Souls games, right? Now, Souls is not, the Dark Souls is not really open world in a sense. They have they've always had, in Dark Souls, they've had kind of open areas with branching paths, right? But Dark Souls and all the Dark Souls game and Bloodborne and all those stuff have always been in that sense of, there is no direction, right? You just kind of go and explore, right? They don't say, oh, you need to go do this, or you need to go do that. It's just like, you can do whatever you want. You want to go down there and beat up that Cyclops, by all means, go for it. Will you win? Maybe, maybe not, but you can go do that if you'd like. So it doesn't limit you. It doesn't say like you need to go do X, Y, and Z before you do A, B, and C. It just says you can go do whatever the hell you want to do. So I personally like the no hand holding portion of it. I like being able to figure things out myself instead of the game telling me what this does. But that's me personally. Not everybody's going to like that. But I like that because we have plenty of games that just spell everything out for you. It's like alphabet soup, in the game. Like, oh, everything's laid out for me in a nice way that I know exactly what I need to do because the game already told me what I need to do. But I kind of like games like this that don't tell you crap. Personally,
I wouldn't mind it so bad if there was a death consequence, right?
There's always a death consequence.
I wouldn't mind going. I wouldn't mind going and being like, how tough is that dragon? Let me stick him with my sword in his butt and see how much damage he takes.
Right. And that's kind of the fun thing too, I think. Yeah, it's like going, can I kill that?
Penalized. Maybe. Yeah, but you're almost penalized for the exploration sometimes because, you go to check out a cave. So when we first started, I think, Pat, you basically went west or east. I went west and Nick went straight up the middle. So, the first cavern I found, I took out some zombie dudes, no issue, all the way over that direction. So I'm like, oh, there's a cave. Well, shit, this won't be bad. I violated everything on my path. So I get down in there, and the first thing, these little gremlin bastards, climbing the walls and stuff. And what happens? They're faster than crap. They jacked me up. I barely survived. So I go back up. I hit the save thing there, and I run back in, so I could try to learn the area and fight the guys. And I died. I couldn't tell you how many times. And finally, I just said, I'm done. I quit for the day. So I don't know, the not knowing things, I understand why you enjoy it. And I kind of like it in small ways, small portions, but there's certain things you just need to know, like how to, attack, how to do certain features in the game, like use magic or, combine or make materials. And because it doesn't tell you nothing. I mean, you guys are my freaking instruction guide. And I'm thinking Nick was Pat's instruction guide. So it's, I don't know. This game is so freaking good. It's the definition of love-hate. This game is the absolute definition of love-hate. Because for every one thing you love, there's something that just makes you want to jump off a freaking roof. But I don't do it because my insurance ain't that good. So.
All right, cool. Yep. I think there's a lot that, Nick could probably talk about this game for hours, but I will agree. Nick is my guidance for this game because I'm pretty much like, hey, what's this do or what's that? And he's like, I don't want to tell you because you'll find out a little later. And then sometimes if I'm like, I don't know if I'll ever find this out, he'll tell me on some of that stuff. But then I'm like, hey, what is this? Or how do I use this? And he's like, okay, yeah, do that. And then, because he had to tell me that hugging the lady in the hold was a bad thing because I hugged her and didn't realize what had happened. And I'm like, no wonder I felt so much more squishy. She made me
and
squishy.
don't skip certain lots of dialogue, because
don't
apparently
skip
that's a
dialogue.
bad thing. Because
Yeah.
you like Pat said, you hug this chick, and next thing you know, he's a freaking marshmallow. So there's things about the game. There's a guy that we ran into that Nick's like, all right, we got to fight him, but we're not going to kill him. And then he'll sell you something to beat this guy or something like that. So, we fought him, and he went down to his knee. He started saying something. Oh, hell no, you didn't.
Yeah, but there's things like that even though you kill him, you get his bell.
Exactly.
And you can give his bell to the maidens, and the maidens will then sell what he used to sell. So you have to kind of pay attention to stuff like that. And you're like, oh, if I get, his bell, I can not only loot everything on his corpse, I also can then take his bell and donate it to the maidens, and they'll start selling me the items that he was selling.
True.
So,
but if you leave him alive, you
thousands
find
of
him
little
later,
things like that.
and he does sell crafting cookbooks that I don't think the maidens probably have.
See, one dude with like so many different options about him, and that's
right.
And it's just the way you play, right?
One of the great aspects of the game.
Yeah, exactly. And all the things you guys said, like, oh, I found it out from Nick. It's because Nick did it first and figured it out the hard way.
Yeah, he's the pincushion.
I was like, oh, don't do that. I'll tell the guys, don't do that. That's a bad idea.
Or he's like, yeah, let's not fight this guy. We're not ready. And the two of us are like, how bad could he be? And he's like, I didn't get him down to half. And I'm thinking, well, yeah, I've not done that neither until Nick's came in and we've gotten him down to a quarter or a third. And then we fought a guy last night and I'm like, we didn't even get him down to a quarter. The three of us.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I figured we could try it.
Go poke that
and we tried it and it didn't work. We were like, maybe later. We'll do that later. Get a little bit more XP.
Cool. All right.
Oh, a lot more XP.
All right. I think we could probably talk about this game till the cows come home, or, till the next Masochist United meeting comes up, so we better put this one to bed.
Nick runs the local chapter.
He's the president of the local chapter.
Go buy the game.
So, let us know what you exactly buy the game and find out. You can join Nick's chapter, the Masochist United Springfield, Missouri chapter. So let us know what you think. Did you buy the game? Did you pre-order the game based on the hype? And then did it live up to the hype for you? Were you a Souls fans type stuff? That's what I want to know, because I'm not a Souls fan and I picked up the game on a whim. Well, not on a whim, because we were going to review it. I knew we were going to review it, so I was kind of dreading it. But let us know. Were you a Souls fan before you got this game? Did you know what Dark Souls was? And did you pre-order this based off of the hype and everything? And what was the hype that drew you into this? Were you a From Software Souls fan kind of person, or were you just like all the hype from R.R. Martin and all this stuff? So let us know what you think down in the comments. And don't forget, as always, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to hit that bell for notifications. We'll see you later, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.
See ya.